Hello everyone and welcome back to Adastra. My name is Decalink, the Trainer Professional, and there's still going to be a bunch of people making noise. I apologize. On the last episode, we got found out, and Amicus is in the dungeons. We now are technically a citizen of Camia, and we're on the inside path to a plot to possibly overthrow the eventual emperor. A lot has happened. A lot has fucking happened. But let's see what more shall happen. The idea of me staying in Neferu's room constantly for the foreseeable future doesn't last long. In fact, a few hours later, I find myself leaving his quarters and wandering the halls of the palace like I have so many times before. Cato and Casius probably won't be back for a little while, so I don't really have anything to be worried about as far as I know. Just as I'm thinking this, I see something out of the corner of my eye. Oh. A gray tail, green stripes. Alexius. Seeing the cat suddenly reminds me of all those suspicions I've been keeping bottled up about him. If only to keep the peace in the palace. Again, with all that thrown out the window, I find myself fast walking in Alex's direction, determined to confront him. While I feel like complete shit after what's happened, I also feel completely liberated. Cat's out of the bag. I can basically say whatever I want now. Well, mostly. Definitely should still be careful. I turn the corner as I'm thinking this and find myself standing a few dozen feet away from the cat. Alex bent over as he waters one of the plants. He's humming again, and he's smiling when he looks up at me. That smile immediately vanishes. He drops the watering can, sending it and the contents spilling across the floor with a clanging noise. He basically lost all chance of looking not suspicious in the first second he saw me.
Ah! William, how are you this fine morning?
Terrible. What are you doing?
Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. Are you feeling ill? What happened to your arm?
Alex's eyes go from the bandage to my bicep, but I ignore him, taking a step forward. In response, he takes one back. What have you been up to?
Up to?
His eyes dart left and right as if looking for an escape. Telling Neferu about me, telling the Triumvirates about what I told you. I don't know if he actually did that last one, but his reaction seems to tell me. His eyes widen as he backs away.
I have no idea.
Did you talk to Cato yesterday after you saw me in the gardens last night? You realize what's happening right now, right?
William, you're scaring me.
The cat continues to back away. I follow, and that's when Alex just gives up on his act, turns tail, and sprints down the hall. Before I know it, I'm running after him, his eyes focused on his thrashing tail as his sandals slap against the marble floor.
Stop chasing me! I don't know what you want!
I don't bother responding, starting to reach out to grab the back of his robes. Just as I make contact, though, he comes to a sudden halt, pressing himself against the wall so that I stumble and slide past him. He's at a door, and he presses his paw to the black panel so that it slides open before he dashes inside. I don't think he was really thinking about where he was going to end up, because I know that that's the bathing room, and I know he's trapped. I turn around and run inside after him, just in time to see him, still sprinting, slip dramatically on the wet floor, flying through the air for a moment before landing painfully on the corner of the bath. Ooh, I hear him wheeze before he plunges into the hot water. If he lost his breath, it's back as he comes back up with a gasp, letting all of that out in a scream of pain.
Ah, hot!
The cat scrambles out of the water clumsily, scrabbling at the sides of his claws before finally rolling out, looking small and disheveled with his fur all matted up against his skin. He curls up, and to my surprise I see that he's crying. That sight alone is enough to give me some doubts that Alex is the conniving saboteur I think him to be. He looks so pathetic right now. I stand over him for a bit, looking down at his pitiful form before clearing my throat. You okay?
Okay, I think you broke my ribs.
Me? You're the one that ran away for no reason.
No reason? You advanced upon me in a threatening manner.
The cat curls up again and makes some more sobbing noises, and I'm between believing him and believing that he's flat out faking. Sit on the bench. I reach down and for a hand to help him up, but he swats it away. I narrow my eyes. Answer my questions, Alex. The cat finally sits up, sniffling and rubbing at his nose while the other paw clutches at his side.
I have no answers. I'm simply a pet.
Painfully, Alex gets to his feet before setting himself gingerly on the bench while slipping off his wet robe. Yeah, and I was simply a pet just yesterday. I'm not as stupid as you think, Cassius. Fuck, I almost called him Cassius. Alexius. Alex looks up at me, that pathetic, sad look replaced by one that I can't really explain. When he remains quiet, I try again. I know everyone has interests here. What are yours? Maybe we have the same ones.
You're not being very subtle, are you?
What you did yesterday wasn't subtle at all. Who else would have told Cato that I was conscious again, that me and Amicus are lovers? Alex frowns and shrugs.
How am I supposed to know? I told Casius last night. He could have told a number of people, especially Cato.
That makes me pause. Of course Alex talks to Casius on a regular basis, probably every night. It would make much more sense that the wolf was the one to tell Cato rather than Alexius. But what about the lovers thing? You were the only one that suspected. Well, him and Neferu, but Neferu wouldn't tell. Uh-oh. Alex scoffs, having taken off his robe and in the process of examining his side. Looks fine to me, no blood or anything, but he winces as he prods at it.
You think it wasn't obvious? It was a prominent rumor ever since the first trial.
That, and I guess Cato did walk in on us in bed together. I feel my resolve failing a little bit, but then I remember Neferu again. But Neferu told me that you confessed my intelligence to him. Why would you do that? This time the cat's reaction is rather different. His ears blushing as he looks away.
He was curious about you, and he can be very persuasive. I'm sorry I told him, but again, I thought it was obvious, and I didn't think he'd tell you.
Alex scowls, massaging his ribs. I glare at the cat, wondering if I just made a huge mistake. But what about the triumvirates? I told you first, and then they all suddenly found out somehow. Alex squirts his head.
Well, Casius was discussing it with someone else, wasn't he?
Virginia.
Maybe it was that person?
Neferu had said that they hadn't interfered at all in the trials, and Virginia... Neferu said that, and Virginia didn't show any indication that she might have sabotaged her own brother. Then again, I have the feeling that she's probably a lot better at acting than everyone else here. I know I can't really trust anyone now, except Amicus. Maybe Neferu. I'd been so confident just moments ago, and now I find myself feeling guilty as much as I watch the sopping wet cat clutch himself, hunched over. I don't trust him to be telling me the truth, not at all. But I also don't trust myself in being so confident that he's lying. So, shamefully, I reach out a hand, resting it on his shoulder. He flinches, then glares up at me. Sorry. I just thought... I'm just trying to figure out what's happening. Alex carefully moved my hand off his shoulder, but it didn't seem all that angry.
That's fine, just don't do it in such a brutish manner next time. You frightened me.
Yeah, and sorry about your ribs too, even if you did do it to yourself. Alex probably hears the smile creeping into my voice at the end of the sentence because he glares at me again.
That really hurt, you know. Now I have to go to the city to see a physician. I'll have to take the awful bumpy carriage, too, that since Casius forbids me from flying.
Alexius shakes his head. I rub my arm awkwardly. Why's that? Alexius looks up at me.
Ever since his father's ship crashed and the investigation was botched, he's petrified of it.
Botched?
Yes. So they don't know how it crashed. Odd thing, isn't it?
Yeah. Just when I'm having my doubts, I get another flare of suspicion as to why he's telling me something like this. But I brush it to aside for now. So you know about everything that's happened.
Vaguely. Though I rather not be involved anyway. I suppose it's not so inconvenient for me that I go. I was meaning to visit Casius in the hospital today anyway.
The cat stands up, bending down with a grimace to pick up his robes.
And I am sorry about what happened to your wolf. I hope you're able to figure it out.
I don't trust the motherfucker. And with that, the cat walks out of the bathing room, his tail dragging limply behind him. I want to say more to him to figure out exactly what he's up to. I might have been wrong about him, but I also don't feel satisfied with his explanations. I can tell now that we're not exactly friends anymore, even before I cause him to shatter his ribs and boil in the hot tub. Whatever. I sit on the bench for a while, thinking about soaking in the bath. I realized then that the last time I did was with Amicus, and doing so now alone would be way too depressing. I get up and leave, hoping that Virginia took my request seriously. Imagining the wolf below me alone is too much to think about. So I head back out into the halls, deciding to just go back to Neferu's room and stay there like I'd been told to. No. Jesus, this fake fucking game just keeps on going forever. I mean, I like it. Don't get me wrong. It's like spaghetti. I fucking love spaghetti. But goddammit, sometimes it just feels like it never ends. A few days pass like this. There's a bizarre calm in the air. The palace is quiet, despite the absolute chaos that is the top echelon of the empire is in right now. Yeah, the top. Yeah. In the meantime, Casius becomes emperor with surprisingly little fanfare. I watch it on the screens. The young white wolf's right leg and left arms in casts, which is explained several times to have happened in the third trial, as he's coronated by Cato, who is now missing his visor. That isn't explained to the viewers at all. I don't feel much as this happens, realizing how fake all of this is, how it doesn't seem to mean anything despite how much I'm told it means. It's all theatrics. What matters most now is taking the two of them down and getting Amicus up and out of that dungeon. Even now, I'm not really thinking about getting home, despite the fact that the stretch drive should be returning at any moment now, if it hasn't already. There are bigger things at stake here. The main one being my best friend's life. And that's why on the third day after the fake trial, I find myself eagerly involving myself in a discussion with Neferu as he tells me his plans. Cato is due back at the palace that day, and we both suspect he'll be making a trip to our room. So the most important thing is to the wolves is drama, a scene, something memorable. That's all they seem to care about around here. Neferu sniffs dismissively as he sips at his wine, and I find myself starting to see why Amicus might find him so irritating. Not that he's wrong, though, and I usually find myself agreeing with him. So, make a scene that makes Cato and Casius look bad. Well, most importantly, we need to find, or even make up information about them that will irreparably damage their reputation in the public sphere. Like what Casius did to Amicus during the second trial? Neferu smirks. Even worse than that, William. Preferably something that shows disloyalty, or insults the pride of the wolves in general. That is something they often can't look past. Didn't Amicus having sex with you show disloyalty, or hurt their pride? Neferu waves his paw dismissively in the air. No, it's been established among the public that he was simply furthering his goal of an alliance with my species, which was completely in line with his character. As for pride, well, he wasn't the one raising his tail. I sigh. So, we need something about Casius and Cato that's out of their character. Yeah, something that shows them to be not who they say they are. The public must distrust them. Jesus, we're fucking sipping wine while planning the destruction of an empire. Neferu strokes his chin. Would be convenient to have all the footage that Virginia was talking about, but considering how secure it might be, that could be impossible. Worth trying to get, though. Yeah, the recording device in the fucking bedroom. Yes, I'll have to discuss that further with Virginia. So, what should I be doing? Well, it feels good to talk about that, what can be done to help Amicus. I personally want to do something. Neferu pauses and smiles at me. William, my duty is not to put you in danger, as I've said. I won't have you... Well, I don't care. I need to help. I'll do whatever I have to do. Nefer raises an eyebrow on me. Oh, yeah? Even if it might risk your own life? Cato is only barely tolerating the protective line that being a Camian citizen affords you. I would not push him further. Then I'll do things behind the scenes. I don't care. I just want to do something. Nefer sighs deeply. We'll see. Just keep in mind that the most important thing to Amicus is that you stay alive. That's what you can do. That's what you can do that will help him the most. I take that in. Still not fully convinced that there's nothing I can do. But I'll certainly let you know if I believe there's a way for you to help. As for me, my status leaves me untouchable. Unless Cato wants to risk another war, which I guarantee you he does not. I'd imagine he had first-hand experience. Indeed. Neferu, Cato wishes to enter your quarters. I jump, wondering if the walls are thin enough that the old wolf could have heard us. Nefer doesn't seem surprised, though. As expected. Come, please tell him to hold on for a moment. I'm in the nude. Yes, Neferu. I almost used my real voice. Nefer looks at me. I suppose our mission starts now. I have my own drone recording in the corner there. Hopefully to catch old man saying something incriminating. What I'd like you to do is to crouch behind those bushes. Keep hidden and quiet. What? I thought I was supposed to be involved. You will be. But I'd rather he not filter himself because of you. Hesitate for a moment, then do quickly as I'm told. Even though I do feel bitter at the feeling of being tossed aside once again. Man, you know a story is getting good when the main character is constantly pushed to the side. Neferu, I will override the security again if you do not... Cato's voice crackles over the speakers, but that's when the jackal opens the door, and for a moment his voice comes from two places at once. I'm pretty well hidden behind a few trees and bushes, my surroundings dark enough that I'm pretty sure Cato won't be able to see me through the leaves and twigs I'm peeking through. The two males stand awkwardly from each other before Cato suddenly strides in, forcing the jackal to step aside, though Neferu keeps that smug smile on his face. What a pleasure it is for you to visit me today. I'm gonna need some fucking water for this scene. Oh my god. As Cato walks in, I get a glance at his face for the first time. Oh, man. Well, that's holy shit. Yeah, that's one eye out and the other eye not working. I see that he lacked his visor on the broadcast, but seeing it up close, the stern look I'd always imagined under his now broken machinery is definitely there. His eyes have a milky gray quality to them, heavily scarred. The old wolf stops just in front of the fountain, his ears perked up high. I wonder if he can see anything at all, and Neferu asks just that. How's your sight, your former highness? I see one of the ears twitch before the wolf slowly turns around. Non-existent, young prince. Oh, please, just call me Neferu. Where is the alien? Neferu pauses. Alex? Or do you mean... You know damn well who I'm referring to, jackal! Neferu raises his paws defensively, even though Cato can't see. I bet he can. I don't know how. Maybe his hearing, his wolf hearing, or his smell. He can probably fucking smell us. Oh, god damn it. Apologies, Cato. William told me he would be in the gardens doing landscaping work. Cato snorts. I didn't hear him out there. It is a rather large garden. Very beautiful one as well. Cato doesn't respond, instead staring up out the room. Would you like some... Oh shit, wrong voice. God damn it. Yeah, the voices are similar. It's almost like There's only so much you can fucking do with one throat.
Would you like some wine?
Neferu gestures at the bedside table, picking up his own goblet to take a sip, loudly. I see Cato's ears twitch again before he turns to the jackal. What is your plan with the alien? Neferu frowns. Plan? Do not ever play games with me. That will be my only warning to you, jackal. Cato's voice is so cold and ominous that even Neferu's grin wavers, but he recovers quickly, taking another loud slurp of wine. Such good wine. One of the few superior products your people produce. Now, as for William, I'm simply fulfilling a promise to Amicus. I see. That wasn't so hard to tell me then, was it? Speaking of, quite astonishing that he was so easily beaten by Casius of all people. Quite. I wonder how he's able to accomplish such a feat. It was broadcast. You would have been able to see it. Shit. Well, I don't watch Adastra broadcast. Too much melodrama and propaganda for my tastes. Pug Nu is a combination of skill and luck. It's not always the strongest that wins. Of course, though I have to wonder, might any of that luck have been manufactured? Cato was silent for a moment. Cato being silent is when you know that something is very wrong. Are you implying something, Jackal? Oh no, I'm simply curious. I came to study the politics and workings of the Empire while also trying to improve relations between our species. I feel knowing all the facets of Wolven politics is important. Cato sneers. There's a fine line between studying and spying here. Neferu chuckles. Well, what I do know is that you wolves often go about things in a theatrical fashion, and it's sometimes hard to tell what's real and what or not. I assume the fight to be somewhat staged. Cato chuckles, and immediately I know that Neferu is making a lot of mistakes here. I'm not sure what his plan is. Maybe he thought that Cato would be more friendly with him, or that he could lull the old wolf into a false sense of security somehow. Maybe he's just trying to feel the old man out. I also get the feeling that maybe he shouldn't have had all that wine before doing this. His suave, carefree attitude works on most, rather, either to charm or to annoy, but Cato is not someone I feel it will work particularly well on. Either way, it's clear Cato knows exactly what's happening. I know Camians pride themselves on their own intelligence, but I have to wonder why considering your extreme stupidity. Oh? Neferu casually sloshes his wine about in his goblet. Your arrogance amazes me, young one. I know you were fortunate enough to have been birthed after the war, but it's as if you were never taught the history between our peoples. I've spent countless hours studying this history, Cato, and that's mostly why I'm here. Mostly? It seems the rest of that reason is to fuck with the delicate balance our empire is currently in. Certainly not. I am merely an observer. I want to tell Neferu to shut up, to just tell Cato to go look for me out in the gardens or something. I can see the hackles on Cato's shoulders rising. And I can only hope that the jackal was right about being untouchable. I know I offered you to stay in this palace as long as you pleased, and I never withdraw an offer without good reason. But have you thought of moving out to the city? There are many more accommodations out there. Oh, no, thank you. I much prefer it here. Everyone is so interesting. It's just like a Camian to take full advantage of a wolf's tolerance. Neferu quirks an eyebrow. Tolerance? Not a word I often associate with a wolf. I can tell that Neferu is losing his cool as well. Our tolerance for your arrogance was unprecedented. Neferu seems confused for a moment. Oh, are you referring to the war? I'm sorry, we're quite a bit more blunt where I'm from, so I did not realize what you were getting at. Neferu smirks. For a moment I thought you were coming on to me much like Amicus did. definitely too much to drink, or this jackal is just a lot crazier than I thought he was. Wolves tend to be aggressive like that. Oh, shit. Cato becomes a blur, closing the 5-foot distance between the two of them in less than a second. Oh, shit. Next thing I know, Cato has the jackal up against one of the pillars, slamming Neferu so hard that I see the plaster crack and fall away. Neferu gasps loudly, kicking at Cato a few times as he struggles with the old wolf's thick arms. Get off! Neferu kicks out again, this time at Cato's groin. If the old wolf felt anything, he didn't show it, instead holding Neferu tightly in place while he snarls in his face. Speaking of tolerance, I have tolerated your arrogance for far too long, just because you are the Pharaoh's son. The second son and of a ruler who has so little power over his kingdom in the first place. I shouldn't be surprised. Cato pulls Neferu forward, then slams him back against the pillar again, causing more plaster to fall at the jackal's seat to clack together loud enough that I can hear it. You're all the fucking same, every single one of you, but somehow you're the worst I've yet to meet. Again, Cato slams Neferu against the pillar, and I start to stand up, wishing I had the nervo. Neferu growls, trying another kick. Is this the next generation of Camian we must deal with? I know you weren't alive for the war, but it seems another one is inevitable if you're an example of what's to come. Neferu tries to speak, but lets out a choked cough. Cato loosens his grasp, and Neferu gasps a few times. No, Amicus was a bit less rough, but if you wanted to put your paws on me, you only had to... Oh, God. This time, Cato almost lifts the jackal off his feet, cutting Neferu off with a horrific gag like he's throwing up. I must say, you have a funny way of going about building an alliance. It's as if you thought tail-raising would get you whatever you wanted. Now Neferu really starts to struggle, kicking around aimlessly, throwing his head left and right, sending drool flinging from his muzzle. Cato doesn't relent, and I know this is my cue to do something. It's been a while since I've killed a jackal. My paws have been itching to do it again. Maybe you'll be my next. I don't know what to do exactly. I have no weapon, but I wonder if maybe I can at least distract the wolf long enough for Neferu to get away, to breathe again. So I run out of my hiding spot, breaking the fucking story, rustling the branches and leaves as I do. Cato was so focused on what he's doing to Neferu that he doesn't seem to even hear me. As I run at him, I can see the wolf grinning maniacally into Neferu's face, like this really is something he's been wanting to do for a very long time. He finally seems to hear me at the last second, turning his head to my direction before I lower my shoulder to try to tackle him off of Neferu. It's like hitting a brick wall covered in fur. I make contact with the old man's side. For a moment, I get a whiff of musk and perfume before I'm sent right back down to my ass. I wonder for a moment if I've dislocated my shoulder, looking up in a daze at the result my attack might have had, if any. To my relief, I see Neferu on his paws and knees, gagging and coughing, drool stringing from his muzzle. Cato is standing slightly to the side, looking in my direction over my head. He clearly knows where I am. He only focuses on me for a moment, though. Then he turns his head in the direction of the coughing jackal, Neferu crawling away at this point. Cato makes his way towards him before drawing back a foot. I can only reach out, not even having enough time to ask Cato to stop before the wolf kicks the jackal between the legs. Oof! He does it so hard I can see Neferu's knees slip off the ground for a moment before he pitches face first into the marble on his knees and clutching at himself as he lets out a howl of agony. I cringe, immediately thinking of the time I kicked Amicus and how much harder Cato must have kicked Neferu. I start to move towards him again in case Cato thinks of doing anything else, but the old wolf simply stands there, breathing heavily, head tilted down as he listens to Neferu moan. For the kicks you gave me earlier, that should put your whoring out of commission for a few days, no? Neferu is curled up on his knees at that point, paws tucked into himself. It's at this point that I see a gush of red liquid overflow from his muzzle, and a horrific one at that. I wonder if somehow Cato had kicked him so hard that he'd ruptured his organs or something. But no, it's the wine. It spills across the marble. Cato wrinkles his nose at the retching sounds before carefully stepping around the jackal. As I said, I won't withdraw my offer for you to stay, but there are many apartments in the city. Just know that you will not be able to take your new citizen with you. Otherwise, I'd like to try this discussion again in the future, if you're willing to be more cooperative.